Hi, everybody. My name is Rita Crompton. I am also known as the Inventor Lady. And I've had a couple of questions recently about the USPTO, and one of them was a gentleman that just was angry at his experience with the USPTO. And it was like, don't file a patent, don't use them. They're just another big government agency and the scum of the earth and blah, blah, blah. You know the argument. Okay, so, well, yes, they are a big government agency. And yes, if you go to their website, one of the people who works there used to still calls it an octopus because it's really hard to manage. All right. That said, they are the ones who pass judgment over whether or not you're going to get a patent. They are the big gorilla in the room, the king of the jungle, however you want to look at it. We have to learn to play nice with them because they are the ones who are going to decide whether or not you get that patent. So here's a little bit of insight to the world of the USPTO. And believe me, I'm only skimming the surface of this. It is a big government agency. All right. They are going to be the ones that make the final decision on whether or not you get your most valuable asset, which is your patent. All right. So we've got to learn the game. In the beginning, all right, you're going to file a provisional patent application that has been prepared by a registered patent attorney. And if you've got any questions at all about why it's got to be a registered patent attorney, guess what? I have got a whole bunch of blogs out there that have titles on why do you use a registered patent attorney? And you are going to go read them because it is really important. So we get this provisional patent filed. It does not issue. It is not granted. You fill out the paperwork, your patent attorney does, or an RPA, as we refer to just for ease of getting it out there. The RPA fills it out, sends it in, creates the documents. It needs to be basically the front half of the patent. All right. Legally, could you fill it out on toilet paper and send it in? Yes, as long as all the parts are there. Is that the way you want to do it? No, it's not. All right. And that is because if it is ever challenged, it has got to stand up in court. It is that simple. It needs to not just have all the parts there, but it needs to be a darn good piece of work. And when somebody tells me they did their own, that's it. I'm done. As a licensing agent, I won't even go there. I don't know a single legitimate licensee that will deal with someone who did their own intellectual property. Not going to happen. According to the USPTO, can you do it? Yes, you can. All right. Do they care whether or not a good job has been done or not? No, they don't. If a bad job is done, it is easier to throw your tuchus out of there. Okay. So we're going to do it the right way. You are patent pending from the time your attorney hits the submit button. All right. It doesn't get granted. It doesn't issue. I've already said that. It's important to remember that when someone tells me, well, they granted my provisional patent application, it must be good. No, it just means that all the parts are there. Until you are challenged in court, we won't know how good it is. All right. So you've got about a year before the next step. You go out, you do some marketing, you test your prototypes, da, 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 da. There are other videos on that. Within the year, all right, give or take a few weeks. We don't like it when you wait to the last minute. It makes everybody nervous and cranky. And you certainly don't want to let your provisional expire. You can buy your way out of it, and it will cost you depending on how long it takes you to get caught up. But with the USPTO, almost you can buy your way out of almost anything if you throw enough money at it. Internationally, not so much. They've got hard deadlines, and there is no mercy. So you've got a year before you file the utility. Once you have filed, and when I say you, I am talking about your RPA. Keep that in mind. It is not you hitting the submit button. It is the registered patent attorney. So when the patent is filed now, the full utility patent, again, you are still patent pending. All right. All they've done is given you an application number. Keep that in mind. All right. You have got about another year and a half before anything happens. It's just the queue. It's just the way it is. All right. So in the meantime, all right, you're not sitting around waiting. If you're, yes, they say that a lot of patents don't issue. It's because they're bad. All right. If you're using me as the Inventor Lady, or you're using the mentoring part of Archimedes Offspring, which I am parts of both of those. So I'm talking to you now, that mentoring ability, all right, where we hold the patent attorney accountable for what's being done. Right? There is nothing worse than an attorney who writes the patent for you knowing that there are things out there. Get a good search done. That's one of my other videos. Why should you have an independent search done? That's one of the reasons. Right? We need to know what's out there so that we have a better chance of getting those patents through. So now you're in that 1.5-year time frame, you're going to trade shows, you're getting your products out there, you're trying to tee it up. Most of the legitimate licensees I work with, they do not want you to wait for it to issue. That is 3 to 4 years off the lifespan of the patent. Get it out there, right? If you're not sure and you are just sitting around waiting, you probably have a gut instinct that you shouldn't have gone out that door to begin with, right? And when someone you're looking at for licensing says, we need to wait for the patent issue, that is their way of nicely telling you they are not interested. Move on. Oh my goodness, how many inventors have told me, well, they told me that I needed to wait until it issued. Move on. All right. We do not sit around and wait for it to issue. We assume it will issue, or you find a different RPA. Now at about 2.5 years, and that is the blind spot, a legitimate blind spot at the USPTO. It's, again, a legitimate blind spot. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't get into it any faster. When a search gets done, there's a 2.5-year blind spot at the USPTO, just because that's the way it is, right? It doesn't matter how cranky you get about it. That's life. All right, move on. At that point, now it's going to be published. Now it is out there and people can see it. It does come up. You get a notice of publication. Now you've been assigned an examiner, right? This is a good thing because now it means you're kind of on the short list of getting the office action. You need to expect that that first office action is going to say, everything's rejected. It just is. It's like being a 16-year-old going out for their to pass their driving test. They fail. So will you. And this is where the dance starts between the RPA and the examiner and you. The examiners, at least most of them that I have, my inventors have had experience with, they really like a show and tell. They like it when you say, oh, you know what? Let me send you a link to a video, Mr. Exam, before we have a conversation. You know, let me send you a prototype. They like the interaction. And if you can give them that aha moment where they have some insight now, they cannot read your mind. All right. And it doesn't matter how good the patent is, the attorney still can't help them read your mind. All right. So sometimes the video helps. Right. And when I get in there and says, well, my examiner allowed us to have a conversation, they all will. All right. There's nothing special about that if you take the initiative. Now, the parameters of that is they will not talk to you alone on the phone without your RPA setting up the conversation. There's times when it might be practical and you need to talk to your attorney about this, that it makes sense to pull the power of attorney off of that so you can have a conversation directly, and then you put the power of attorney back in place. We've seen that a few times. That's a strategy between the inventor and the attorney. I don't care. Whatever you guys feel is the best strategy there, by all means. All right, do what you think is best. Most of the time, the RPAs handle everything very nicely. They still will show a video. They want to give it the insight. You know, can you play sometimes on your examiner's soft feelings as the inventor? You can, but they really, you know, let your RPA handle it. I just feel better about that. So once you get then your examiner to understand better what you're doing, that first office action where they just rejected everything tends to get whittled down fairly well. Your RPA knows the dance. They say, no, that's not exactly right, Mr. Examiner. This is the way it is. You know, there was a misunderstanding there. You didn't read it the right way. They talk the examiner's language. This is really important. All right, that everybody's talking the same language. So then the next office action usually is a lot shorter, a lot smaller, but there will be usually at least 2. All right. Then you will get your notice of allowance and there will be another fee to pay. And I had a lady the other day, she had said, well, my examiner told me, not something that you can take to the bank. Said that, you know, he would waive that the USPTO would waive the fee. And I suppose sometimes there are cases where they waive the fees, not in this one. The business office, the one that makes the decisions, they said, no, she's got to pay the fee. She was late. So, you know, this is one should really place a lot of confidence in the examiner. And she was told no, the examiner was told no, that's life. You pay it and you move on. And then there was the fee, you know, at the same time, she's told us like, okay, you pay the late fee and we'll reinstate it, but then you pay the issuance fee if you want it at all. So, you know, she was a little on the cranky side. It's like, they charge you for everything. Yeah, they're a big government agency. They can do that. All right. And we learn to play nice with them because they hold your future in the balance. That's just the way it is. We learn to play nice with the USPTO because they're the big gun. All right. They get to make the decisions. And we need to be able to get as much covered in the patent as possible. It is the job of your RPA to try to get as much geography in the patent covered as possible. And it is the job of the examiner to push back as much as possible. So when an inventor is representing themselves and they don't always understand that, the examiner pushes back way too hard and you cave because you don't know any better. And it makes sense. You don't know any better, right? So it's that RPA that protects that geography for you, and you need that, right? You don't want the examiner to push back and open crevices where someone else could go in and file. And then you say, they're infringing on me. No, they're not. They filed in the cracks. So use your RPA, use them wisely. This is the reality check. So my name is Rita Crompton. I am the Inventor Lady. I help inventors get from I have an idea to the marketplace. And we also work with Archimedes Offspring, which is that early stage funding mechanism. So it is more of a mentoring program and funding mechanism for inventors who just really don't either understand the process or they don't want to spend all of their own money on the process. So check it out, archimedesoffspring.com. Follow our videos there, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.